What's up, everybody? I am Daniel.
I'm Cecily.
And I'm Chris Rabb.
And today we are wasting our talent with...
I'm Ehren Thoma, and I am owner of Earth Love CBD, formerly Gaia's Gift CBD. And I have a CBD company trying to bring the goodness to the people.
You're based out of Morgantown, correct?
I am based out of Morgantown, but it's kind of... It's all over the place, really. I have a friend that lives in Washington State. I'm going to start doing high CBD genetic cannabis strains with. Mm-hmm. And I have some friends who are in various forms of cannabis industry all across the country who are trying to collaborate and, help everyone figure everything out that they're trying to do.
Hell yeah. Can you... Oh...
Go ahead. That's tough with four of us.
It's okay. I was going to say, for the people out there who don't know what CBD stands for, can you just because I know some people, maybe just talk about marijuana, cannabis.
Sure.
Just for anyone listening who might not know what that is.
So, CBD is a compound found in cannabis plants, and it's usually found in more industrial hemp strains that really were never bred to be intoxicants. It's more industrial strains growing in the wild that people maybe cultivated for intoxicating use or smoking blends, but realistically, it's mainly found in the industrial crops. Most cannabis that people are smoking these days in the legal states has been bred specifically to produce high amounts of THC. But usually the THC and CBD content are inversely related. If there's more THC, there's usually less CBD, higher CBD, less THC. Mm-hmm. And it's now that there is a legal cannabis market in numerous states in the country, people have started to look into the other cannabinoids present. And CBD and THC are two of approximately 68 known cannabinoids, and there's evidence of over 100 being present in most cannabis plants.
I did not know that.
That's awesome.
There are a lot of different compounds that we have no idea what they are, what they do, but thankfully now that the red tape is being lifted on cannabis research, we hopefully can find out what they are and how they may help us.
That's awesome.
And how does the CBD differ in terms of a medical option for the plant? Like, what would it be used for in relation to a high THC product of the plant?
Well, so there's a lot of people who will say a lot of things about CBD and what it is good for. And the research that I personally have seen, and there may be more out there that I haven't, I would not say I am a certified cannabis expert. Just done a lot of personal research.
Okay.
But the main difference is that CBD doesn't have an intoxicating effect.
Right.
And so for people who have jobs where, they can't be high, they can't be not thinking clearly, but they enjoy cannabis, when they're in college or younger, and they felt that it gave them, a way to take the load off, relax, without hangovers or other ill effects. CBD has been, in many studies, shown to be a strong anti-anxiety inducing compound. And it is a strong anti-inflammatory. And so really, you could look at it as almost like an antioxidant. Mm. It's just good for your body, kind of helps everything stay nice and calm. One of the other things that has been backed up by research is that it helps prevent seizures and tics. And a lot of that has to do with the nerve calming aspect of it. Kind of helps things quiet down in our nervous system. But also, a lot of research suggests the most effective way to get a medicinal benefit from CBD is to use it in conjunction with THC.
Even if it's a low level.
Oh, even if it is a low level.
The chemicals kind of complement one another and make them both
more effective. It's a very synergistic effect.
I see.
Like yin and yang. They balance each other out.
I see.
And a lot of legal states are having issues with tourists coming there saying, hell yeah, I want to smoke all this weed and get super fucking high. Mm-hmm. And then they can't handle it and start freaking out because those plants have almost zero CBD in them.
Right.
But, years ago, most strains were not boosted. The THC wasn't boosted to a point where there was no CBD. So that little bit of CBD kind of helped you remain calm, not think the cops are outside. Yeah.
Maybe not influence you to eat the whole pizza.
That as well, yeah. You have
That's
some
nice.
restraint. You have a little bit more clarity.
Yes. Yeah, the cannabis tourists, the cannabis tourism industry, huge in the U.S. right now. Huge. I mean, people are going to places like Colorado and Oregon, and I don't see the amount of tourism, and not that Oregon isn't a beautiful place, because it is, and it has a lot to offer, but a lot of people are going there because it is essentially the wild, wild west of cannabis right now. I went out last year with a friend, and it's crazy. And you're right, they don't really tell these people what they're getting into when you go to one of these dispensaries.
Oh, no, they expect you to have some idea. I mean, everyone understands, like, oh, I'm going in here and I'm buying some weed, and it's going to get me high.
Right.
But I was recently visiting my friend in Seattle, and the dispensaries there, just like every single one, had pure THC crystals available to purchase. And that's it. The way I would describe it is taking a tray full of brownies, condensing it into the size of a BB, and then you smoke it, and you are completely and utterly stoned.
Wow.
And
So it's like
Hard pass.
That's too much. That's too much.
I would say if you had cancer or you legitimately need a serious medicinal relief of
For
some
leisure,
pain. Oh, no. There was no leisure about it unless your idea of having fun is eating everything in your house and miserably lying on your couch for 8 hours until you can stand up again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that use it around here for medical purposes. People I know who have nerve damage or bad anxiety, and it helps. And I've seen videos of people, with seizures or Parkinson's and things like that, where it helps.
Are you talking about medical or more CBD?
Both.
Oh, okay.
The anxiety, people I know with anxiety with the CBD, it helps them. People with like the nerve damage that I know smoke just marijuana, and it helps with the nerves. I know people who have been on opioids that don't help, but they can take a hit, and not even a lot. They don't even smoke to get high. They smoke because it helps the pain, and that's natural. That's just my thoughts on it. I think it should be legal. That's just me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I second that.
So as far as how recently was CBD legalized in West Virginia? Because I know it's starting to, like, you can start. I've been to a couple gas stations around where you can actually buy like CBD products and things like that. How long ago did that?
Realistically, I believe hemp farming was made legal in West Virginia in 2017, and I'm not 100% certain on the date the bill passed. I've read the West Virginia hemp farming bill at one point. It's a lot of legal jargon, but
I can imagine.
It's been legal for about a little over a year.
A little over a year. Okay.
Or maybe 2 years, a little over 2 years. And there was a big issue because a lot of people were starting to farm hemp through various state programs. And then the federal government the DEA actually decided to come out and say, hey, this is still from weed. We consider this a class 1 substance with no medical value at all. And we want officers to enforce this law. But at the same time, the evidence really suggests that CBD itself is one of the safest compounds for human consumption in existence, even more so than THC, because some people can have a bad psychological reaction to THC and freak out and, jump well, I wouldn't say jump out a window, but
We're not talking salvia here.
yeah, exactly. It is not salvia. That is 110% certain.
Yeah.
But that was a really big issue with the CBD is that all these people were like, I don't want to get high, but I want some of these medicinal benefits. And what really pushed the issue was a lot of parents who had children with severe epilepsy having like hundreds of seizures a day, literally were in almost a vegetative state. Mm-hmm. And there's actually a company called Charlotte's Web, and they're based out of Colorado. But two guys from that company went to Israel. And a lot of people don't know this, but Israel is actually one of the biggest cannabis researching countries in the world. In the Torah, the Jewish holy book, there's actually recipes for cannabis sals and cannabis tinctures. It is like part of their
crazy.
religion. Yeah, I didn't know that either. It's pretty wild. But Israel has putting a ton of money into cannabis research. And so these guys went and they found some very high CBD strains, because most industrial hemp has between maybe 1% to 3% CBD, but they were able to find some that were upwards of 10, 12, 18%. And so they brought it back to the United States, and they're in Colorado, which I think at the time when they started their company, it had not been made, recreational was not legal, but they did have a medical program. And they bred this strain from those genetics they got, and they named it Charlotte's Web, same name as their company, after a little girl, Charlotte, who they basically said, this girl's going to be our poster child. Like, we're going to help this girl. We're going to show the world that CBD is medicine and it needs to be available. This girl went, I don't want to misquote here. It's been a while since I have read the specifics of this story, but she was on numerous medications, like I said, having hundreds of seizures a day. And with the cannabis treatment that they developed for her, she is now suffering maybe 1 to 2 seizures a year, has a very happy, healthy, productive life.
Cutting out all the prescribed medication that she was on before.
I'm pretty sure she cut out almost every single one. She may be taking 1 or 2. Like I said, I'd have to.
But mostly eradicated all that.
Yes. I mean, and this story is very widely publicized on the internet. If anyone wishes to fact check me,
I've heard
feel
of it,
free.
but I've heard of it. I don't know if somebody told me about it, but I've definitely heard of the Charlotte's Web.
I've definitely heard of it
strain,
too.
Yeah. And I would say that they are by far the best CBD company out there. Their products are very expensive, but they also did incurred a lot of cost to make that happen.
Yeah.
And you're buying it of the highest quality.
I would say
It's up there.
I would say, yeah, they're probably the highest quality in the United States.
Yeah.
Isn't there also like a strain of like psychoactive, like THC, like marijuana that you can like, that's called Charlotte's Web, right? Or maybe not. I thought I heard that before.
I believe the strain is a high CBD, maybe very low THC.
Oh, okay.
But I believe the Charlotte's Web strain is non-psychoactive, more or less. But there is a strain called that.
Okay, yeah.
And now these days, that's what me and my friend in Washington are trying to do. There are strains that have less than 0.3% THC. And so they are technically federally legal, thanks to the 2018 Farm Bill finally passing, that descheduled CBD. So now, after the DEA said, no, this compound is terrible, it's just like weed, which also isn't terrible, but for some reason they say that, the federal government decided that no, it's not. And this kind of blows my mind. Not sure how into politics you guys are, but Mitch McConnell, the senator from Kentucky.
Piece of shit.
I agree. Total piece of shit in every aspect other than this. And it's weird that he was the guy who did this, but he was the number one supporter of hemp legalization. And I cannot figure out why, but he used his power as, Senate chair to push that bill through. And
yeah, it's got to be monetary.
Or he's just a closet pothead. He's just like, it's hard to tell.
I mean, if I was him, I would probably have to smoke some pot.
If I was in politics, I would have to. And I don't even like smoking. I would have to.
But
sorry.
Kentucky has a very strong hemp industry, and I do assume there's some very big
It was
pockets
good for the
there.
states. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for the state's economy.
Yeah. But now that that's happened, there's an even grayer area now of, like you said, you're seeing CBD at gas stations. And just being, if anyone, with any amount of critical thinking ability thinks about it, how good can that CBD you're buying at a gas
I
station
would
be?
never.
No.
I would never.
I would recommend you never buy gas
It's like getting
station
sushi.
CBD.
Or
At a gas station. Exactly.
Or like a smokers friendly, like tobacco outlet kind of place. You may get some better stuff because they're catering to the cannabis world now. It's not so much a place you would buy cigarettes anymore. It's kind of like 50-50
Yeah.
anymore with the vapes and everything like that. But I still don't trust it. It just seems real. It's like, how long has this been here? Like, how long is it?
That's
is it
very good
effective?
points.
And like, I
And-
don't know. It just creeps me out.
The people running the store probably couldn't answer.
They don't
any of
know-
those
they clearly
questions.
don't know anything
They
about
just
it.
get it in, and then they're like, "Oh,
Right.
hey, this has this stuff in it. We think, and we're gonna sell it to you."
They're gummies. I mean,
Yeah. Worst case scenario, you have some gummies, man.
Oh my gosh.
Some expensive gummies. So getting into the business, like in West Virginia, with it, with obviously, medical marijuana isn't legal.
It's supposed to be, but
It's supposed to be. I saw like the bill on it and all that.
so I don't know this because someone told me the other day that they had done something with the medical bill, but for the longest time, it kept coming up in the committee where they picked the bills to bring to the floor, and it would not pass the committee. They kept voting it down. But supposedly it kicks in the 1st of July of this year, but there's no framework in place to implement it. And I hope that they do get it sorted out, but as far as I know, they haven't.
They need to. I mean, it's personal opinion, but how, like, getting into that kind of business, like in West Virginia, for you, how, like, what were like the steps that you had to take to do that because, like you said, the THC content's low, so it's technically legal, but I'm sure there was still like, things you had to go through to actually be able to start a business like that here.
To start my business, it was really me just saying, I really don't give a shit. I'm going to do this. And if someone wants to stop me, I guess I'll find out. And my sister is a lawyer. She studied criminal law, so I kind of ran some things by her. And she basically told me what I already figured, that I'm not really doing, at the time, that was before the 2018 Farm Bill passed. I started in May of 2018, and the Farm Bill didn't pass until I think sometime in November or December of this past year. And I mean, there was companies in California and Washington and Oregon and even, some on the East Coast, a lot in Florida, that were basically just buying CBD, mailing it everywhere, and no one really said anything to them. But those companies were fairly large operations who had legal teams that were prepared to deal with that. And the way I really got into it is that I was working at a head shop in Morgantown, and had a ton of customers asking for it. And the owner of the shop wasn't really interested. But my dad had been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. And I'd read all this stuff about how CBD helps with Parkinson's disease. And I really started out looking for CBD to give him. And there's a couple companies that I ordered some stuff from online, tried it, gave it to him. I didn't think it really did anything. He said it didn't really do anything. And then by chance, I was hanging out with some folks that I'm friends with, and they informed me that a mutual friend of ours was actually running one of the largest labs, CBD production labs in the country, out in Colorado. So I got a hold of him, and he basically was in a tight financial situation and decided that, he didn't care to send me some CBD, because realistically, at that point, that was not probably legal. But at the same time, it wasn't really illegal. I mean, people mail all kinds of stuff through that it's illegal through the shipping companies and postal service every day. So realistically, for any law enforcement to stop one tiny package of CBD would just be kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
That'd be a waste of resources,
Yeah.
and it's not even getting anyone high. So, but he started sending me some stuff. I tried it, and the thing for me is that it's really hard for me to describe to people what I feel like CBD does, because for me, it almost makes me feel incredibly sober and clear-headed.
It does.
And, you know,
It's like an Adderall without the cracked out feeling.
I
In
would
terms of
agree.
like
Yeah.
being able to focus, but there's like a real, it's rather than being tweaked, it's more of like a relaxed focus.
Yes,
Like
with-
your body feels a little bit more loosey goosey.
yeah, you just feel calm. Like, all right,
Yeah.
you know, this is kind of a stressful situation, but I got it. No worries. I'll
Chilled
deal
out
with
with
it. Yeah.
not being fucked up.
Yeah, which is a weird thing to say, because I know a lot of people who are cannabis enthusiasts that enjoy being fucked up from it. So they're just like, why would you do this? Like, no one's going to really want this. Like, everyone just wants to get high. And I was like, well, there's a lot of people who actually don't like getting high, believe it or not. And
Yeah.
I personally used a lot of cannabis when I was younger, but the older I get, I started suffering a lot of anxiety every time I would smoke. And it got
That's-
to the point where I was like, I can't even enjoy this anymore.
That's why I stopped like years ago, because the anxiety, like the stress that it caused me, I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean,
like it.
it's not fun if you're ingesting something that just stresses you out. That's why would you want to do that? But the CBD products, I would say, are more marketed to people who cannot be high, cannot fail a drug test, older people who, you know, the regular THC containing stuff is too much for them. And that's just kind of what I thought when I started, is like, you know what, there is a market for this. There are people who would enjoy it. And at the time, there was very few options around in West Virginia. So I figured this is a great time to start.
That's awesome. I take CBD just to be, I don't know. as a
Yeah,
supplement.
I also take CBD.
I mean, personally, I would say that,
Not regularly, but I seek it out when I'm like, same reason why you would take some aspirin if I have a lot of sport injury history.
oh yeah,
You know,
it's great for inflammation and
right in
soreness.
my neck and my shoulder, run down my side. Sometimes it gets real tight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, they're sleeping on it wrong or maybe overdoing it physically that week, but it works for me, and it also helps my anxiety when I'm feeling a little edgy before I go bartend and I need to mellow out, but you have to stay sharp
Yeah.
in that line of work. So it works for me. And my brother, he was in a really bad car accident some years ago where he broke his back, he broke both of his legs.
Oh, wow.
Like he was thrown from a vehicle and he fell 80 feet,
Oh my God.
like to the ground.
Well, I'm glad that he survived that.
He's very lucky.
Yes.
Yeah, he's very lucky. And because he incurred all those injuries, he, of course, because they just pump you full of opioids
Oh,
to
yeah.
help with the pain, and then they just cut you off. And, of course, he got involved, you know, with the pills in a, you know, non-legitimate kind of way. Him finding CBD, he's completely changed all that.
Wow, that's
Like,
that's
because
awesome.
you could tell that he didn't use because he just was in so much pain all the time, and it was just, you know, that physical dependence on the opioids. It really kind of fucked him up there for a
Yeah.
little while, and he was just looking for any alternative. So after some research, he tried some CBD, man, and he still has his days, but it's a huge factor for him.
Well,
so
that's-
it works.
That's
Proof's in the
great.
pudding.
Anytime anyone can stop using opioids, that is great, no matter how they do it.
In this state in particular,
Oh, yeah.
where it's the apocalypse in terms of opioid abuse, turning everyone into zombies, and
It just leads to other things once
Well,
they can't find it.
right,
You know.
Yeah.
that's how heroin abuse starts. It basically comes down to money. Like OxyContin is very expensive. Heroin is not. It's
Yes.
a pretty simple choice.
I am unfortunate. Well, my hometown, I'm from the eastern part of the state, a place called Moorfield, and it has been fairly well ravaged by the opioid crisis. Like at this point, when I hear about someone from home overdosing and dying, I'm just like, oh, well, I'm not surprised. That sucks. I really wish they could have found something else, but I know what it's like there, and
Right.
which is crazy for a small, tiny little town.
Yeah.
There's way more drugs than there should be.
Thanks, FDA.
Oh,
How are the wholesaler companies like Cardinal Health able to ship all these opioids to such small populations of people? Did you see that 60
I did.
60 minutes?
I mean, we had doctors in our
From
town.
a mathematical standpoint, it makes no sense.
2 doctors were arrested by the DEA in my hometown. There used to be a line around the clinic, like down the street, which is crazy because we have only like 2,000 people in the town, and I would say probably 200 of them would be at this doctor's office.
Wow.
Just
10% of the town lined up.
And then they would sell it to probably another 40, 50% of the town.
Didn't that happen recently in Bridgeport too, where it was either a doctor and then I think some police were involved with it too in the distribution of pills around in Bridgeport. I think. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure.
I would not
like
be
within the
surprised.
past
Me
couple
neither.
years. I think something like that. I saw something like that. Yeah, I don't. It to me the main reason I think, this is just my personal opinion, that it's not legal everywhere is because it was the mayor. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Nice. Even better.
That's even better.
Yeah.
What a great representative.
But
We elected him.
it's like Chris said, like big pharma, like, how are
It's
you
a
gonna,
huge threat to big pharma.
yeah,
It's a
like,
huge threat.
It has so many medical, upsides to it that it's going to cause them to lose money because they can't throw these bottle of pills that's going to cost you out the ass in your face and be like, you have to take these or you're going to be in pain.
Yeah, that is the
know?
beauty of cannabis is it's literally a plant. You
Yep.
put it in the ground, you take care of it, and 8, 12 weeks later, you have something that you can, even smoking cannabis has been shown to be fairly harmless. I mean, the smoking anything is bad, but if you have a vaporizer, there's pretty much zero negative effects, or there's like zero effects on your lungs. Like, smoking blunts every day, that's probably not great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
compared to just tobacco smokers, cannabis smokers usually have higher lung capacity, lower rates of lung cancer. It's just I think the real difference is that like painkillers, they like fuck you up, and you kind of forget about your pain because you're so fucked up. Where cannabis kind of, I feel like, just literally makes you forget about the pain. You just feel mentally better, but you're not that kind of like doped up where you're
Yeah.
just out of it.
And it's not hurting your other organs. I mean, if you're vaping,
Oh, yeah.
doing that. I mean, if you're smoking, like it's at least not hurting as much as like pills that
With the
eat your liver
Yeah,
and
the Tylenol in them. that-
Digestive system.
Oh yeah, I know people who've had to have liver
Lining your
transplants
stomach.
from taking so many pills. The Tylenol
Yeah.
destroyed their liver.
I'm still not 100% sold that the vaporizers are 0% harmful, because you're putting something into your body that's essentially like it's vapor, it's liquid. You're putting that into your lungs. Whenever I stopped vaping, my lungs, and I started smoking again, my lungs actually felt better. They didn't feel as tight I honestly, like, I wasn't hacking up shit as much.
I
And,
feel like
my
it
lungs
sits
just
heavy
felt-
with the vape. I
It-
feel
it
like
is
it
very
kind of
heavy.
like gets a little gunky.
And it also depends on like what you're vaping.
yes.
Like
Well,
I was
yeah, yeah.
vaping like cinnamon, which is like
Oh, that
I had
was-
to have a glass tank because it would eat away at the fucking the
Yeah.
plastic tank. So
you were
that-
vaping cinnamon?
yeah, it
The
was
flavor-
Just cinnamon?
the
just
flavoring.
cinnamon. Just-
Oh.
not I wasn't like going and getting like cinnamon concentrate and vaping that. No, it was it was like a fireball, like a candy, like that kind of cinnamon.
It was a flavor, though.
A flavor, yeah.
A lot of those flavors have been shown, like anything containing diacetyl, that is something that really is bad for your lungs.
Is that the popcorn lung?
That is the popcorn
Yeah.
lung, yeah.
Yes.
That is a compound that is very prolific in vape juices.
Not
Also-
meant to be consumed that way because it's an edible
Yeah,
chemical.
eating it probably isn't great for you to begin with, but is going to be way less harmful than inhaling it.
Right.
And most of these e-juice companies are mixing these chemical flavors that have never been tested for inhalation. They were tested for eating it, consumption. But that's another thing. Like there are, speaking of vapes, like one of the products I make is CBD vape cartridges. And the way I make them, I don't use any, everything I use that goes into those cartridges is 100% natural. The flavorings are all natural plant terpenes. The CBD is CO2 supercritical extracted. And the liquefier that I use is an very refined oil that is basically, I asked a biochemist about this because a lot of people online say that, vaping, like there were some people who are making vapes with coconut oil. Definitely should not vape coconut
That does not
oil.
sound good.
No.
No.
But
It's too much viscosity. It's too thick.
yes. And so when you're inhaling oil, you can get something very similar to popcorn lung, but it's, I think the scientific term is lipopsis. Basically, the oil clogs your lungs. Your lungs don't really have much in the way of mechanisms to clean themselves. They have some little hairs that kind of push normal things out, but when it comes to being coated, that's why smoking tobacco, all the tar kind of paralyzes that. But so if you're going to be vaping anything oil-based, you have to make sure it has less than 14 carbon atoms in it, because anything that has less carbon than that is a small enough molecule, it can pass through your lungs into your blood barrier and just absorb into your system completely. And that is what I use as a liquefier is carboxylic acid, which is basically a really small chain fatty acid that dissolves CBD and can be absorbed safely into the lungs.
Damn.
Yeah.
Science.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. CBD is really not soluble in anything slightly water-based. I was trying to do like the e-juices, and then I realized that it just would never work.
Does it like separate out?
Yep, it separates out.
Like oil and vinegar.
Yep.
That's didn't realize there was so much like science. Like, I mean, obviously you got to do scientific research, but man, that's like you're getting like biochemists and things like that.
Yeah.
That's
I'm fortunate that a kid that I used to babysit when I lived in Moorfield, he just graduated from WVU, double majored in biology and chemistry.
Wow.
And he actually is trying to go into cannabis research. I'm hoping I can give him a job someday soon, but I'm trying to get things going a little bit further before start hiring the biochemist.
Yeah.
But I will
big
consult-
salary, big salary.
It is a very big salary, but I like being able to consult with them because then
that's huge.
I feel much better about what I'm doing.
And it legitimizes your operation. I mean, just
Yeah.
in the event that anyone has any questions, you're so involved in the research elements of what's going on that you can put any speculation or hesitation about the business or what it does to
Yeah.
rest
I,
fairly quickly.
Personally, I feel that you should never sell anything that you wouldn't use yourself.
Absolutely.
And, I test all of my products for a long time before I even put them out in the market because I don't want there to be some ridiculous side effect or some health concern that I was unaware of. I mean, I definitely do make money from my products, but my real goal is just to like put something out there that's not complete shit and just make it affordable because that's another huge issue with CBD products is
Very expensive.
they are incredibly expensive.
That's what my brother found out. It's like sometimes he just doesn't have it in the budget to be able to,
I would say
get it.
80% of people who are taking it probably don't have it in the budget.
Yeah.
One of the deciding factors of why I started my company is there was another CBD company that started in West Virginia. I think they're from Cross Lanes, called Appalachian Cannabis, and they opened a little store in Morgantown where I'm at. And I had started getting some various products from my friend in Colorado and just trying them out, seeing like what the cost would be, like if I ordered in bulk, would it be cost effective to do it? And so I stopped in their store and was talking to them, and they were selling 1,000 milligram tincture, which is basically 1 gram of CBD, a little bottle of drops, and you drop it in your mouth. They were selling that for $150. And that is maybe a 2 to 3 week supply.
Right.
And I currently have stores carrying a probably better quality tincture for $60, 1,000
Nice.
That's
milligrams.
crazy.
Nice.
It is crazy. And like
Yeah.
I make money from that, and the stores carrying it make money from that. So I don't know if they're just terrible at managing money.
It's
or
probably like the opposite of what's happening out west. There isn't a lot of competition, so you can charge what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where out there, everyone's trying to undercut anybody, and they're giving it away
that
at some of these places.
that is
It's
true.
crazy.
A crazy thing about out west though is that there isn't a lot of CBD products available.
Well,
that
that's
aren't
true because they're looking to fuck you up. That's all it is out there.
But there's starting to be a market for CBD. A lot
Right.
of these growers in Oregon who have been growing medical cannabis, and they're having problems selling it at all. Like you go out there and you'll see people on the side of the road like $200 pounds, like it's really insane. Dispensaries are selling ounces for like $50 of stuff that most people would consider incredible.
Right,
And it's just becoming so saturated, the market's almost collapsing.
right.
But all of these growers have now realized that the CBD market is exploding in all 50 states. So they can grow high CBD cannabis and then sell that legally in all 50 states. And that's why me and my friend are starting this genetics company, because he has access to genetics out there that there are a few strains that people are starting to grow, and they're like 18% CBD, 0.3% THC. And those strains are, that's not industrial hemp. They look nice, they smell nice, have nice bud structure, very marketable. And also, as of now, unless something changes, they're legal in all 50 states. I was kind of shocked by this, but Coleridge, a head shop in Morgantown that carries my products, I walked in there one day and they're sitting there with a giant bag of what I thought was weed, like medical marijuana.
Wow.
And it stank, and it looked incredible, and I just said to them, what's going on here? Like, are you guys like crazy? Like, why do you have a bag full of weed in a head shop? That's insane. They're like, oh, no, it's CBD bud.
Yeah.
And I checked it out. They had lab reports. It had been spectrograph analyzed, and like they had all the lab reports, and every bag had a little like copy of that lab report, and
Wow.
they said that they have had no issues. Law enforcement knows what it is.
And
so.
what's the percentage on something like that?
I think the stuff they had was like 0.3% THC and like 12% CBD.
Okay.
So what's the what percentage takes it over that legal limit of THC?
Right now, federally, the legal limit is 0.03% THC.
0.03%.
Federally, if it's under that, it's considered a hemp product and is legal. And West Virginia's hemp laws allow for you to have up to 3% THC.
Okay.
I do not have a farm, and I do not intend to do that in the very near future. So I do not have any CBD crops myself. In the future, I'm hoping to get into that. But for now, I'm just ordering. I actually should say this, but like the CBD products that I make have 0%. There's no THC at all in them. The lab I get it from makes a special 0 THC CBD extract for people who are like in the military, doctors,
Federal jobs.
Yes, where you cannot fail at all.
So where would some local West Virginia peeps be able to acquire some of your products, Ehren?
So right now, Mountain People's Co-op in Morgantown carries my tinctures and my salves and my CBD isolate, which is just like the pure CBD extract. You can take that and you can add it to your own oil blends. You can make salad dressing with it. You can
Nice.
smoke it out of a vaporizer pen, or
Are they
Yeah.
just like the little crystal things?
it's like distillate. So it's kind of, it looks like hash oil, except for there is no THC in it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And Mountain Peoples carries that. I'm going to try to expand into gummies and some edibles and things there as well. And then Coolridge is kind of around the corner. They're a head shop. They sell my tinctures and my isolates and the vape cartridge that I make. And TK's, the boba place, I think they add it to their smoothies. I'm
Oh,
not
wow.
sure. They are a very new business that has asked to expand into CBD, and so seeing if that works out. Maybe it won't.
It's kind of cool, like
That
taking
is
your
awesome.
taking your drinks and being like, you have a CBD option, like if you want.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You want a little CBD shot in
Yeah.
it for an extra
Yeah.
$2?
Yeah, exactly. Also, Phoenix Bakery in South Park, they carry my tinctures and salves.
Excellent.
But I'm about to launch a website. I don't think I've gotten into this, but I had named my company Gaia's Gift. Apparently, that name Gaia, which is a mythological deity, is trademarked by a herbal company in North Carolina. And they politely told me to change my name or they would sue me. And after
Well, at least they give you the opportunity to change it.
yeah, I mean, as far as those things go, I think it was pretty reasonable what they said. They were just like, hey, we have this trademark. We see you tried to trademark it. You can't do that. Please change it. And after consulting with some lawyers, they said, you should definitely change it. Yeah. So now I'm going through and like making new labels and kind of updating some things, adding some stuff that I kind of left out when I first started. So it's actually good. I'm getting to revamp things and kind of like do everything over. And I think make it a little better.
A little rebranding.
Yeah.
You learn from the initial startup, and now you can do it more official the second time around.
Exactly. And as soon as that's completed, I'm going to be launching a website, be www.earthlovecbd.com, where you can find all kinds of fun facts about CBD and have all the different products there for sale. And, lab reports will be on there and just all the stuff, people like to see.
Right. Backing your products by some real research and science.
Yeah.
Just to alleviate any concerns once again.
Yeah, because when I first started out, it was very hard. I was just going to these stores, and I was just some guy who's like, "Hey, I think you guys would really like some CBD products. Your customers, seem like the types of people who would want that." And they were just like, "Okay, well, who are you?"
Yeah.
And
Get out of our store, sir.
well, it wasn't exactly like that, but people want to be able to trust what they're buying, especially something expensive like CBD. And a lot of people are taking it. Like most people who take my products say it helps them with anxiety and sleeping. And then there are some people who have some really fantastical stories that if the products really did what they said, that's amazing, but I don't want to get sued for claiming any medical benefits, so I just say, try it out, see what you think.
Right.
See what
I've
it
got
does for
problems
you.
with anxiety and sleeping. Like I might need to look into this.
You need to pop it,
That'd
man.
be
You need to
dope.
try it.
Well, maybe I can provide wasted local talent with some samples.
Oh, listen, I was going to say, if you ever need like any kind of lab rat,
Oh, yeah. Well,
you could feed me.
The
You could
guinea
feed me some
pig.
stuff.
Chris, he
Guinea
did say
pig,
that it's
Robbie.
like, below 0% THC.
No, but I'm into the CBD too.
I know. I'm just.
I'm into the CBD.
Well,
I'm
you
just saying, like,
can-
if you got anything cannabis related, you need someone to try it out. I'm your guy.
Cool. Well, I'll keep that in mind, Chris. Also, I feel like that's also good marketing. You let people try stuff. If they enjoy it, then you have a new customer. If they
Yep.
don't like it, they don't feel bad. They're just like, I tried it, didn't like it. And then they're like, fuck this motherfucker. He just ripped me off.
Yeah,
like,
right.
that shit's bullshit. Because I felt that way about some things that I've tried. Some of the CBD companies that I've tried. But I'm trying to be as transparent and open about it as I can.
Because as you said, it is expensive. It's a tough gamble. You're gambling on it when you're investing that kind of money.
Well, thankfully, I'd say my products are a little bit less of a tough gamble price-wise.
Well, just not but CBD in general.
Yes,
right.
in general.
So do most, because I haven't really looked at anything, but do most of, because you provide all of the lab reports with yours too, like you said, you're going to be posting it on your website, things like that. Do most websites do that?
Basically, that is where you draw the distinction between a legitimate CBD company and someone trying to capitalize.
That is
on
really
That's what
good
I was
to know.
thinking, for people out there who might be wanting to order it,
before
your website goes up anyway.
There's companies that, I would say are definitely solid, reputable companies. You're getting good product, but you should just always make sure there's lab reports.
Yeah.
Because that's a third party testing the product and saying, it has what they say it has in it.
Yeah, I feel like the difference is okay, there are people who want to educate you first before buying it if they're super passionate.
Yeah.
In my experience, and then there are people who just here you go, it's CBD, it'll help you, just take it.
Just take it, yeah. Take it. Just give me $100 and take it. I
exactly.
promise it'll be great.
It'll be a quick interaction, or it'll be someone who's I'm gonna talk your ear off about this thing because I fucking love this plant, and yeah, that's just what I've experienced.
And that's pretty much the two sides of it, is that there are people looking to make a quick buck and to get money off people, but there are some really passionate people who care about it and really want to bring it to as many people that need it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I like to think I am one of the latter. I really have realistically, the feedback that I've gotten from everything that I've done is why I've continued to do it.
Right.
Because I started out doing this thinking wow, if anyone buys this, I'll be lucky. And a year later, here I am talking to you guys, getting ready to launch a website.
Right. Multiple businesses carrying your product.
For over a year, I ask them all the time, anyone have any complaints? Anyone not happy? I say, no, people love it.
What is, I don't know, we didn't really get to go in this, but do you give your father all of your CBD? Does he continuously use that?
So that's kind of a funny story. My dad's a very difficult person, kind of.
Yeah, because I've been trying to push CBD on my dad because he has a lot of health issues that I believe that the inflammation in his body due to all of, he's so physically fucked up, really decreases his appreciation of the day to day.
Yeah.
And I just try to be just try it. If you don't like it, okay, but it's not it's going to ruin your day. It'll help you, or you'll be exactly where you are anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So you should try it. But his stubbornness, and he kind of comes from that reefer madness generation.
Yes.
Where he thinks that...
That's my dad. Our dads are the same.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. So, I can relate.
With him, though, it's more of a... with his Parkinson's, he doesn't really have a lot of tremors yet, but he has a lot of issues with his dexterity and ability to his fine motor movements. He doesn't have a lot of that on his right side. And he's been taking all this medication, and he's not really getting any worse, but luckily it was caught before it got really far into it. But he was having a lot of trouble sleeping. And my dad grew up in the 60s. His older brother was very into, the hippie flower power stuff, probably dropped way too much acid. And so my dad is very, very
Anti-drug.
sober person.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen him. I've actually don't think I've ever seen him even drink one glass of alcohol my entire life.
Oh, wow.
Not even sip on a beer at a cookout.
Not
Nothing.
even sip a beer. That
Wow.
kind of sober.
Wow.
But my mom is very similar, but in her old age, I think she's getting kind of
Fuck it. Just
she was just she told him, she's I'm getting this and you're gonna try it and I'm gonna force you to do it. And he's all right, whatever. So he started taking it and he told me, he's I don't really think it does a lot, but I sleep 8 hours a night now, so if that's all it's doing, I'll keep taking it. And
without being a habit forming sleep aid.
And he said, when you sleep 4 to 5 hours a night and you're, 62 years old, that doesn't really
It's not going to go over.
No,
yet.
he was having a lot of issues from that, just not being able to sleep. But now he said that he takes it almost every day, and he said that he sleeps a good 7-8 hours a night and feels well rested, and so he's continuing to take it. And honestly, to me, that was my biggest indicator that I was doing something right, because like I said, he just is not interested in changing his consciousness.
No. Yeah, no.
But honestly, I feel like medical marijuana would be a good thing for him at some point if he was interested. Mm-hmm. Both my parents worked for the post office like their entire life, so they're very like by the book, government, follow the rules type people. So
Right.
I think if cannabis was legal here, the medical cannabis, I think they would do it.
Isn't that a shame that just this legal red tape is going to make the choice for some people or not, especially someone who doesn't have to take a drug test for a job or
retired.
There's really no consequences from indulging in it. They should just maybe give it a go, especially, for my old man, because he has a little medical marijuana. He's taking the CBD. He can cut out a lot of these prescriptions that he's basically leaning on to live. And it's just crazy. I feel like if the legal mumbo jumbo were to work its way out, he would then be like, "Oh, okay, I will."
Well,
completely ignoring all this science and testimonials. It's like, hey, this could help you. Fuck it, you're retired. Like, there's no one gonna shake you down for your.
I think
CBD
the issue
stash.
is that people just fear, like, am I going to be the one person that something bad happens to because I'm caught with a plant?
Right.
A plant that literally has been part of human history.
You.
Yeah.
That helps you.
I mean, they find people frozen in ice with like cannabis seeds and a little pouch around their neck. Like, people valued that plant. Emperors in China were found buried with high potency THC cannabis, like jars of it. Like, obviously they're trying to take that on to the afterlife.
I ain't leaving without some of this.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Wasn't like I thought it was like mandatory when the United States had just become a country like
that people grow hemp.
Yeah, that farmers had to grow.
George
certain amount of
Washington,
hemp.
he wrote in his journal about enjoying some hemp every now and again.
So basically, it's American as fuck.
It is American as fuck. I mean, I think the original flag was sewn with hemp fiber.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
And the really crazy thing is that cannabis was legal until 1937 when the whole reefer madness thing started, because some people didn't like, Hispanics. They're like, oh, these Mexicans, how can we target them? Oh, they smoke this plant. No white people do that, so we'll just make that illegal. And also, though, at the time, hemp production was a huge threat to the paper industry. And
Still is, apparently.
well, it just makes sense. Why grow trees that take 4 to 6 years to mature and then clear cut this section of forest and use all these chemicals to process them and then turn it into toilet paper and, printing paper, when you could grow a crop that grows literally almost anywhere and you can get 2 harvests a year and with minimal
Plus
processing.
multiple uses.
Yeah, not only can you make paper, you can make clothing, you can make food from the hemp seeds. The hemp oil is actually incredibly good for your skin and like beauty and cosmetic products. You can make concrete out of it that is extremely sturdy and is resistant to water damage. And if you're really going with it, you can make ethanol, make fuel. So you could theoretically almost power your entire life off this one plant.
Which is crazy.
It is crazy. Henry Ford built a car completely out of hemp, compressed hemp, like epoxied hemp fiber. And then,
So what they did in Up in Smoke is not.
oh man, you can.
It's a possibility.
Yeah, you can make some very strong building materials out of hemp.
Wow.
Hempcrete.
Yeah, hempcrete. I mean, that's becoming a huge thing.
Yeah.
We're just falling very far behind because of some stigmas that aren't even really based in reality.
Misinformation.
Big companies like, you have one product that can do all this, but so that limits the amount of money to be made for all these big companies. So
Take our gerbs.
So they make it, sorry, I'm going to, but they make it illegal. So you can't make fuel out of it. You have to get your fuel from XYZ. You can't make paper out of this because it's illegal. So you're going to have to buy your paper here. We're going to have to do this. And like, I remember down around where I live, whenever it was all fucking trees, everything was great. Now half the goddamn hills are clear cut. It's like,
Man, That's a shame.
Yeah, but if you're doing that with hemp, like you can harvest that, you're not going to have to do that. You're killing the wildlife.
Well,
You could grow hemp products for whatever the fuck you're using that lumber for. Just do
And
it.
you could use hemp for land reclamation
Yeah.
on like old mine.
I was
mining
just
sites.
about to say that. It's
Yeah.
great for taking heavy metals out of the soil and like sequestering it. And also, the giant mountaintop removal site, just all this flat land just sitting there.
Yep.
It could be just completely covered in hemp. And then taking that land, what else can you use that for? And make it useful.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, makes me mad talking
Sorry.
about it.
I don't really talk about it much, but yeah, it's kind of irritating to see. Not even like saying they should grow hemp there, but like the whole deforestation and
Yeah.
all that shit just kind of irritates me. Like watching like the area that I grew up in and I was used to like slowly just devolve, and now it's just clear fucking.
Where was that you grew up in?
It's down like a little bit south of Clarksburg.
Okay.
Like you can see it. You're driving down 79, like right past Anmore, like the hills. Like some of them are clear cut.
It's true.
You're driving even out. 57. There's spots. I think we drove down to Virginia and down through, Canaan, and there before you actually get into the national forest. There's spots where they're just completely clear cut. Along the highway and stuff. It's like, come on. It's like, and they're supposed to go in and plant afterwards, but I haven't seen a lot of that at all.
Well,
It's supposed to be part of the thing, like with the oil companies or anything like that. They're
Yeah.
supposed to, after they go through, they're supposed to clean it up and then replant. I don't see that. I don't fucking see it. But
I will say when I went out to Washington, the first time I went was in December of this year. I'd never been out there, and that was one of the things that blew my mind was how much clear cutting happens there. There would just be me and my friend. We went out to the Olympic Peninsula, and there's a state or national forest there. I'm not sure. There's a protected area, but before you get in there, there's just miles and miles of bare,
Yep.
ripped up, torn up land where you can just see, as far as I can see, just cut down. And then my buddy was telling me, he's like, yeah, they'll plant some more trees, but that's probably barren for another like 4 years.
Yeah.
And then another 4 years after that, they'll cut it down again. And
Not considering even the geological problems that would happen. Because when you uproot all those trees, the earth
exactly.
moves in different ways, and like
You got to
it
think
could
of it, just
be-
the nature that's there, the animals. Like you're cutting down
Deforestation.
like miles and miles of land. Like it's a lot of
Like
forest
Displaced,
creatures.
yeah.
There's squirrels, deer, fucking. I mean, even the bugs. Like
just like ecosystems. in
yeah,
general.
it's like you're killing it all. by doing
ecosystems
that.
can't really stabilize when every 4 years they're destroyed.
Yeah,
No.
and they wonder why the deer problem's so big in West Virginia. It's like they're taking out so much of the forest, and then now Bridgeport itself in town has a deer problem. Like they're pushing them into these areas because they're taking away
Their natural habitat.
Yeah, exactly. So, something that I was raised in the country. I enjoy it and watching it too. I like being able to sit on my porch at night and have to run inside because the coyotes are too fucking close to my house. Yeah, it's creepy. Yeah,
Coyotes make terrible sounds, but they're pussies.
Yeah, well, it's the bobcats
fuck
around
them up.
there.
Punch a coyote in the face.
I'd fuck a coyote.
Would you punch five though?
It's the bobcats that
4,
really freak me out 'cause
5.
they
They can bring
sound they sound terrifying whenever they're out like those,
What do they sound like? Can you make
like
the
a
noise?
dying woman.
Yeah,
They sound like
I
a
thought it
screaming
sounded
woman.
like a dying baby
Yeah.
when I heard a bobcat.
Yep.
It was
it's
really scary.
blood curdling.
Yeah.
Can you make the noise, anyone?
No way. No way.
I wouldn't want to hurt
No.
the guy's ears with an
Okay,
attempt.
okay,
It's
fine.
really you should look it up online. It's
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll go.
terrifying.
Yeah,
It
the
is.
first time I heard that, I was outside.
What
and
the
I
fuck is
immediately
that?
backed myself back inside, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. Oh, it's a
it
what
was
the fuck
terrifying.
moment.
It was
Yeah.
Mara.
So
So, just to lighten things up, to appease myself, and we do have a crowd for this, and I'd be willing to incriminate myself.
Sorry if we're getting a little on the heavier aspect.
No. I feel like we've talked about a lot of valuable things. Now my
Cool.
responsibility is to add non-value.
Sweet.
To the
Let's
show.
do it.
pretty much all you do.
That's pretty much all I do. I want to talk about, for anyone who would like to, of course, their first pot smoking experience story.
Oh man.
Because those are fun. And I got a pretty decent one.
I'm
And I
sure
can
you
kind
do.
of lead off. I can lead off the stories if anyone would like to share. But just
Go
a little
for it.
round table stoner discussion, because I think that's fun.
Sure. Sounds great.
So the first time I ever smoked pot was summer before the 9th grade, just like in Half Baked. It was literally like the first week of the summer. And in Morgantown, we used to have these WVAQ hosted pool parties for the kids. At Marilla Park, they'd just be blasting pop music, and there'd be a bunch of prepubescent kids hanging out, trying to, hope a titty slips out.
Oh my God.
They're there to bump and grind.
He's just being real. That's
just
what they're all
doing it.
there
Yeah,
for.
they're there for it. Yeah, that's what I was there for. That's what my friends were there for.
Jesus Christ.
So
Don't bring Jesus into this.
Yeah. There's no Jesus here. Even on the Lord's
Anyway.
Day. So either way, I was hanging out with a few kids, and they were all smoking pot for a while up to this point. I had not yet indulged.
Were they older or just?
We were all the same
Okay.
age, but they had maybe like a month of stoner seasoning
Okay,
on them
okay.
before me. But we're all fairly new, and they have this pot, and they're like, "Rad, man, do you want to maybe go burn one in the woods before we go to this pool party, bro?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that sounds great. Let's do it. Now's the time. It's summertime. We're getting ready to go to high school." I had been drunk before I had even smoked pot. So, the shit was getting real and awkward. So why not? So we smoked this pot in the woods, and just like in Half Baked, man, people say they don't get high the first time they smoke. Well, not me. No, not us.
I feel you there.
Because I was really, really high. So much so that I was like, I don't know if I can go in there. Like, it's so loud and there's so many people. And I was, had one of those weird middle school relationships with the girl, and she was going to meet me there. It's like, I don't even know if I could look at this girl now.
Yeah, if you see any other titties, you might be in trouble.
Oh my
If I see a titty, if a titty slips out, I'm not going to be able to control this boner. I'm gonna preem in my Batman swimming trunks. And how do you think that's going to affect the netting? It's going to clog the netting.
No. That relationship would have been done.
Yeah, it was. It quickly was. So we get real. Everything goes good for a while until I get the phone call from my mother. Keep in mind, I'm like 14. She's like, "Oh, I'm out front. I'm here to pick you up." And I'm like, "Oh no!"
The worst
Like
possible
completely
thing.
forgot that I was going to have to deal with like my parents at some
Oh,
point.
yeah. They know.
So the way that Marilla pool went, you'd have to go through the locker rooms to get into the pool. There was, of course, the boys' side and the girls' side. I'm walking out, and I look around, and I realize, oh, fuck. Am I the only dude in here? I was baked, and I walked right into the girls' changing room, trying to exit the pool party. And
Honest mistake.
there was this woman, and she goes, "What the fuck are you doing here?" And I was like, "I'm sorry, I'm not a pervert. This is a huge mistake." And I ran out. All my friends were just out there, they had seen what I had done, and they just let it happen. They could have been like, "Rab, no, go to the other one. Go to the
Would they be good friends if they didn't let you embarrass
No,
yourself
they had
like
to
that?
let me learn
Oh
from
my
experience. They had to let me get those comeuppance. Serves you for smoking pot. And then I had to go home listening to my
How was
mother.
home?
I remember I ate everything.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was, there was nothing to eat there, and it was a few hours deep, and I was like, oh man, I'm just so hungry. I think I remember taking a bag of cereal out of the box and
Eating
pouring.
it dry?
No, I poured the milk into the bag of cereal.
That's almost as bad.
No bowl.
That's pretty ridiculous.
No bowl.
What kind of cereal was it?
It was one of those Quaker cereals that was just in a bag.
Oh,
You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like the
big
cheap generic,
bags.
versions.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I just went for it.
So it's
bro.
2.5 pounds of cereal.
I just went for it. I remember it was like the Captain Crunch, cheap variation.
Still good.
Just cut the roof
Yeah.
of my mouth up like a motherfucker. My
Bleeding
gums
from the
were
gums.
sensitive for weeks. But that's my first smoking weed story. It's full of embarrassment and cereal eating.
Man, that's a pretty good one. I feel since you shared, I'll share my first time getting high.
Yeah.
It's actually a pretty ridiculous story. I don't know where the adults were when I was 13, 14 years old.
Where are the parents?
But they weren't around. So I'll give a little backstory. When I was in middle school, I was a straight A student. I was I had a reputation to be like a good kid. I was like kind of nerdy. You know, everyone assumed like I was the kid who would never do anything bad.
You were the narc, Aaron.
I was. A lot of people assumed that. I was friends with a lot of skater kids who liked CKY and Jackass. And, you know, their older brothers or sisters were like smoking pot and doing other drugs and like they're
Listening to Black Flag.
Oh yeah. It was and you know, they hung out with me and I don't really know how I ended up hanging out with those guys, but like that's kind of like the random normal kid in like the misfit group. But we would all get together and I drank alcohol a few times. As you said, this was the summer between my 8th and 9th grade year. So I was leaving
Right
middle
around
school,
the same time,
going
yeah.
into high school. And we had started to like, you know, during the summertime, we'd all go camping, which meant getting pissed drunk in a field and, you know, trying.
Passing out outside.
Yeah, like literally on the yard, like just passed out outside. No sleeping bag or anything, no tent. But, you know, we were kids. We survived.
Right. That's
You're
good
here
for you.
now.
Yeah. And so we went over to my friend's house. I did not know this at the time, but he was our town's biggest meth dealer, his dad. And
Wow.
yeah.
Twist.
Yeah. I mean, he seemed to be like a fairly okay parent, you know, from a 14-year-old kid, but later got arrested for dealing
It's like
meth.
a Breaking Bad situation.
Yeah. But yeah, so we were over there at this dude's house, and his son, or like my friend Jared was my age. He was like 14, and his older brother was visiting from California. And so he had brought some what he called chronic back from California.
This is the chronic iced tea,
Yeah.
son.
Dun dun.
And he was just like making fun of us. He was like, "Oh, look at you stupid little kids. I bet you've never even smoked pot." We're like,
can
"No,
help
like
himself.
where we gonna get that from?" Yeah, he's kind of a douche, but you know.
Could you even buy weed, bro?
Yeah, exactly. It's like probably not. Who sells weed to a kid? Yeah.
Right.
Well, this
I
dude
could ask
did.
my bus driver.
Yeah. But no, so he like is like, "All right." And like, "I'm going to give you guys some weed, you know. I'm going out, have fun." So he just left a little bit of weed, and then there was like, oh man, it's like 3 other dudes with me. And they're like, "Oh man, Aaron, you gonna smoke this weed? I bet you won't." And I was like, "Nah, I don't want to do drugs. Drugs are bad. I'm going to drink this beer. This delicious natural ice beer." So like,
Natural ice.
Yeah. Oh,
You
man.
Savage.
yeah. I mean,
That was
when you're
the shit back
14, you
in
got to
the day,
take
yeah.
what you can get.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
The
fake IDs don't work when you're
Milwaukee's
that.
Beast
Oh,
Ice.
yeah, lots of that.
Oh, so many bad beers.
But so they all start smoking. They made a little, you know, your traditional
Pop can.
pop
bowl.
can bowl.
Nice.
Start smoking. They pass it around once, and every time they'd be like, "You want to hit this?" And I was just like, "No." And they start all getting stoned, laughing, saying a bunch of crazy shit. And I'm like, man, they look like they're having way more fun than I am. This beer fucking sucks. Like, I just feel like shit. It
Because
tastes bad.
you never enjoy beer or drinking when you first get started. You're just
Especially
there for
natural
You're there for the
ice.
effect.
Yeah.
You're just trying to get those few down.
Yeah. So then, like, the second time it goes around, it comes back. This is like the 3rd rotation, actually. I'm like, all right, let me hit that. And everyone just stops. They're like, what? You're going to hit this? And they're like, oh, shit, he's going to smoke. He's going to smoke. And they just like, hold on. They just pack me a whole ball. And they're like, just smoke this whole thing by yourself. We want you to get you, like, high. We want to make sure you feel it. Because they were like, oh, you might not get high your first time. You know, some people don't. I was
They
like,
wanted to bake you.
yeah.
Bake you out.
And I was like, all right, that's cool. And I was just sitting there ripping on it. The first thing I thought was like, man, like, wow, this shit's like, tastes like, I don't know. For me, like, I've always enjoyed the taste. I was like, wow, tastes better than beer. Like, I'm coughing, but you know, I don't know. And I didn't really feel anything at first. So I like smoked that entire bowl. And then they like pack another and we're like, all right, well, we're just going to get you in on rotation of this. So I hit it like a 3rd time, 4th time, 5th time. And then out of nowhere, it just hit me. And I started like tripping balls
What?
high. Like the walls are kind of wavy. And I felt like my vision was like watery. Like I was looking at everything behind a waterfall.
What was in there?
I honestly just think I was really stoned for the first time. I don't
I was
think
just glossy as shit.
yeah, I don't think it was like laced or anything.
Yeah.
Nothing super weird happened other than, so we finished. That was like the last of it. And so we finished smoking. They're like, oh my God, we gotta raid the kitchen. So everyone like gets up and goes to the kitchen. And I'm like sitting there. I'm just like, holy shit, I can't stand up. My like legs just aren't working. So logically, I decide to crawl into the kitchen. And so I'm like army crawling,
scary.
arm over arm, like Saving Private Ryan style.
What was in there? What was in there that you were going for? You didn't know, but you were gonna find out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we get in there and like his mom or somebody had just went to this Walmart and gotten like the 36 pack of like honey buns and like
Oh Jesus.
oh yeah, man. So like
Oh dear God.
because I couldn't stand up, I crawled to under the kitchen table, was holding onto the table and reaching up into the box of honey buns and just taking them under the table like some sort of like stoned troll. Just
Fucking amazing.
taking the little children honey buns and devouring them under the table. And my friends are just cracking up. They're just like, holy shit, man, you're really high. Like, damn, maybe we shouldn't have made you smoke that whole bowl. I'm like, no, it's great. I love it. Like, just give me more honey buns. And I'm just sitting there covered in glaze in a pile of wrappers. And then they're like, dude, you gotta like, you should just go to bed. I'm like, yeah, I really should. So this part is actually one of my favorite parts. I kind of have forgotten this story. I haven't thought about this in a long time. But they told me like, all right, you can pass out, or my friend Jared's like, you can pass out in my little brother's room. So he like shows me where it is. I like can kind of get up now. I'm like stumbling in there and I look and it's a fucking car bed, like off of the car bed from Grandma's Boy.
Grandma's Boy.
Oh wow.
Yeah, literally like the same thing. Like I didn't, even at 14,
It's a
I
pretty sweet car bed.
it was. And I just crawled into this thing, and like even at 14, my feet are like hanging off the end. I'm just like, whatever, this is great. I'm just gonna pass out. So I wake up the next morning at like 9 a.m. to his little brother screaming, "Who the fuck is in my bed?" And like this kid's like 9 years old, literally said fuck. It was a rough family, but like yeah. So I'm like, oh dude, I'm sorry. I guess yeah. I should have figured you'd be coming back. So I'm like, I'm just leaving. So I like went and got my buddy Steve, who lived right next door. So we went back to his house, and I was supposed to be staying the night with him. And his mom was like, "Oh, did you guys stay here last night?" And we're like, yeah, yeah."
All hungover
yeah,
from honey buns.
Yeah, can you take Ehren home? And she's like, "Yeah, sure." So, man, I got home, and I swear I was high for like 3 fucking days after that.
I felt like I was high for a whole day.
Yeah.
Like that whole pool party, the whole night, and even woke up in the morning feeling
Yeah.
a little funny.
But after that, I really didn't smoke again for like a month or 2, maybe 3. I was just like, man, that shit's strong. I liked it a lot better than beer, but then after that, I just didn't.
I was a little
Go
scared
so
of it
hard,
too.
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't go hard out of the gate.
Yeah. But that was my first experience.
Good deal. Good deal. Good way to wrap it up. Is there anything else you want to plug? Let everyone know where they could find your stuff.
So yeah, Mountain People's Co-op has all of my stuff in stock except for like the smokables. Coolridge in Morgantown has the tinctures and the smokables, and Phoenix Bakery also carries the tinctures and salves. That's like skin cream, good for joints, that kind of stuff. Website will be up soon, hopefully by sometime mid-April.
And what's that address?
www.earth, like the planet.
www. Sorry.
Oh,
I'm sorry. That's your
I might have messed that up. You know, reliving those glory days of getting stoned, kind of getting a flashback here.
Right.
But no, it's www.earthlove. Wait, you're am I saying something wrong, Cecily?
I thought you only said 2 W's. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter.
Oh, okay. It's
It doesn't matter.
earthlovecbd.com.
There you go.
The W's don't matter anymore.
W's don't matter.
Yeah.
But if anyone out there is interested in trying them, I hope that you do and it helps you. And if not, you know, you won't be spending an arm and a leg. So,
Hell yeah, man. Thank you so much for coming on
Yeah,
today.
thank you guys for having me. Had a great time.
This
We
is
had
a lot of
dope
fun.
time.
A lot of fun.
Ah, see what you did there.